we would have these design charrettes, which were great fun. We'd have 50, 60 people come to a room, go to breakout tables with maps, and any chance over the years that came up, I kept putting that same little oval in that said, World Dance Stage.
Well, I put another quarter in the wishing well. I prayed to the dark and down it fell. Down in the watery deep. A promises that no one can keep.
This 6 acres is like no other on the property. And what differentiates it is that when you stand here, it's got big open spaces. It's got incredible line of sight. You could put a very large, one-time stage at this end of this area, and from the back end see that. You could put 6,000 or 7,000 people here if you wanted to, and it wouldn't be overcrowded. This space calls for movement.
In '82, when I started coming to the fair, it was spacious in a different way. About 11,000 people a day were buying tickets, and there was room on the path. It wasn't that every single space had something going on. So you could wander around and there would be a lot of spontaneous performances, lots of little nooks and crannies. And, over the years as we've filled that in, it's been hard to keep up with providing enough space that people can express and people can be big and people can relate to something more than just around them.
At the fair, I actually wear a number of hats depending on what time of year it is. I have been on the construction crew since 1987 and have been a coordinator on that crew for close to 18 years now. I also attend and have been active in path planning and designing and planning new areas for the fair for also over 20 years.
I'm Sally Edmonds, and I'm a backup manager here at the Oregon Country Fair, and I'm one of the organizers of this new area. I'm really excited about this area. It's open and it's a big new area. Sometimes people say there's nothing new at the fair. Well, we have 5 acres of new stuff here.
This is our new area that we've been working on for actually many, many years, but intensely over the last 2 years to discuss and develop ideas about how the whole thing will work. This is what was once known as the Crafts Lot, and it's close to 6 acres. Here's our old Dragon Plaza with our dragon that we rebuilt last year. Miss Piggy's where we park out there. Stage left is off in the trees. Chela Mela beyond. You come in from Chela Mela or you come in past the Blue Moon Plaza areas and you enter in, and we're trying to take this big space and break it into smaller spaces. So we've made pathways on this side that have booths and art installations that kind of define this pathway. Come down here and you split back and there's more booths. We have a work-it shop where you can go learn your yoga and things. We have art mandalas on the ground. We have a piano parlor where we're actually going to have a grand piano and you get to hang out. We've got dining areas that we're adding shade to. We've got, come around here and we've got a whole food line, which is behind us, beautiful food. We've got more crafts booths this direction. Up in the trees beyond, we've got a wonderful thing that you don't get to see so much, but it's a whole security, white bird, info, emergency response. So we're well covered here. We've got more booths. We've got a beautiful stewardship thing. This is a piece that helps us share what we do to steward our land. And then sort of to anchor the whole space, and the gem, as we call it, is our Dance Pavilion. With so many things going on and me wearing so many hats, I couldn't actually really design it. So it was pretty much, at that point, up steps Matt McCune.
I am a residential designer in Portland, Oregon. Started doing construction out here 5-6 years ago, starting with the Spirit Tower, moving on to the Dragon for 4A, and now the Dance Pavilion.
This is a beer spill. Yeah, this is the McCune signature design right here.
So in architecture and in large-scale art, often the finished product is just a one-to-one scale model. And I do these a lot for trying to get my own head around the structural aspects of a piece. So it's more of a working draw model as opposed to a presentation model, which is why it's a bit rough around the edges. The Dance Pavilion is unique at the fair site because of it's trying to create more of a situation or experience in the round, rather than having a stage, proscenium, and then audience. This is having more of a bandstand effect, and then the audience is in sort of surrounding it, creating more of a interactive situation. One of the ways we wanted to do that was to not have any central pole structures, which is why we decided to go with the two sort of teepee pyramids that create the superstructure that holds up all of the fabric. Basically the structures come up into two pyramids that then are held together in what I'm calling a hashtag or collar ties. That the collar ties not only help support the buckling of the main elements of the teepee, but they also create a secondary framework for the fabric to come around. And what this principally will do is create two levels. And we'll be able to have airflow come up and exhaust air out through the upper sections of the dance pavilion, which will keep it much cooler. And so for the dance floor itself, basically the structure down here is 36 by 68 feet. I don't know if you can quite tell, but each one of these squares is a sheet of 4 by 8 plywood. They are going to be Baltic birch pre-finished, and then we're trying an experimental tongue and groove or more shiplap systems so that they can be laid down and set up pretty quickly. Originally this was designed as a bamboo or spruce structure, but one of the issues was having these diagonal pieces as sort of head bonkers to dancers. So I think we're going to be moving towards having a vertical element coming up off of these and then coming into the pyramid. One of the issues with that, of course, is that that creates a hell of a moment arm at these points, as you might be able to visualize. So we'll need to be moving to steel.
Here's the pyramid going up, and we'll have cables running off of that and off of this other pipe that's up high, running down to another taller pole that will be able to hold more shade structure, so it gives a very wide expanse of shade area. Here we have our pile of steel, much of which is going to become the dance pavilion. These 2-inch guys, which will be, they call them the hashtags, which are the horizontal bands that go from side to side across the pyramid. We have down here, these are the flanges that will bolt together. Because what this design doesn't really account for is that all these pipes have to be lifted, they're hundreds of pounds apiece, dangled 30 feet in the air, and then balanced over your head when you're standing on a ladder on top of a pile of scaffolding. All in all, it's many thousands of pounds of steel. Heavy, heavy, heavy duty. It will last a millennia.
There's 74 of them. It's 2,600 square foot of dance floor.
So many things all at once. Trying to get budgets, trying to get designers, trying to get build crews, all to kind of come together at the moment is very challenging.
Matt McCune, the architect of the project, suggested, hey, why don't you come and work with us this year instead of doing recycling crew. And then I went to one too many meetings and got put in charge of stuff.
Michael's awesome. He's got a degree in math and a great metal artist. I've worked with him a lot at Burning Man on various projects where I was a woodworker for him.
It's alive! It's alive!
Sewing the top panel and the back panel that's over the stage came together in about 48 hours. It was pretty amazing. There were a lot of hands on board and a lot of very willing, able bodies, and it was quite the production and a lot of energy, and it was really pretty amazing.
If you showed up at this new area at the end of May, it was a wonderful meadow field. None of these structures were here. All of this, fences, vendor booths, stages, everything that you see here has been constructed by a volunteer army in this past month. So let's have a huge round of applause for an amazing effort that has manifested this wonderful dance pavilion. Absolutely outstanding.
I plant stories on paper ships and send them out to sea to drift.
We've had dance at the fair always. You know, people have danced on the grass, or there's been a gypsy stage where they featured belly dancing and a lot of tribal dance, and we've had African dance. And to try to make a place that's suitable for social dance and for performance dance that relies on having a hard surface dance floor is, you know, it's a totally different thing.
Carry hardship out of sight. Salty moonshine, morning bell, fly these troubles away across the swell.
People see dance as something inaccessible that you need training to be able to do. And that's part of the role of the Dance Pavilion, is to break down that idea.
Tales never told, rust gathered.
I feel like people at the fair don't really think of the fair as a place to come and dance. So that was a huge part of our involvement, was getting people inspired.
State of things below the blue, the muscles wait with patience, tales bitter like ocean wine.
I mean, there's lots to be said about the flow of the space. They did just an incredible job of kind of nesting that big space like deep back into the zone. So you really had to explore the rest of the zone to get to the Dance Pavilion. And by the time people actually got there, I feel like they were just kind of like...
Outside, salty moonshine, morning bell, fly these troubles away.
So much of the fair is about, you know, witnessing the art and watching it and standing and watching it or listening to it, which is also equally enjoyable and beautiful. And it's just nice to have a place where we can all have a little bit of exchange.
It is a really amazing example of build it and they will come.
Starting with just a simple celebration, a simple festival, has grown into such a community, such a wide family with literally tens of thousands of members who come here regularly and give tremendously to this organization, to have slowly bought land up to 450 acres now, equipment, facilities, so forth. We've built this, and we make a difference in our state, in our region, in terms of showing people how communities come together and how you can accomplish more by being together than you can by being one individual. And that is important, and we do that for ourselves. We almost discover how important that is by doing it.
Hardship out of sight, salty moonshine,